bitch, you know? It's really unbelievable.
Mr. Son of a bitch.
I mean,
Mr. Son of a bitch.
His royal... Yes, no, I never imagined that we'd ever have a president like this, and I hope we don't ever have another president like this again.
Anything to talk about. Kimmel was given each one of them was given a reset except for Seth. I didn't even know he was still on the air.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody did. Everyone's watching Forensic Files.
Yes.
No one's watching Seth.
One of the greatest shows ever.
Yeah, but these guys, they had opportunities to reset. Kimmel could have came back and tried to be funny again, or bring guests again, or show any kind of change, but they're really going to ride this out to the last drop. What are they going to do when he's gone?
Tyrus just did the unthinkable. He went straight for Jimmy Kimmel, and now Hollywood's in shock. The so-called king of late night might be losing sleep tonight because this showdown is pure fireworks. It's the clash nobody asked for, but everyone can't stop watching. The powerhouse-turned-comedian firing shots at the man who laughs loudest at his own jokes. You can almost feel the air crackling like a verbal brawl about to blow the roof off. What could Kimmel have done to earn this kind of heat? And why does Tyrus sound ready to take on all of Hollywood at once?
It's not the party. It's not the majority. It's the loud voices that scare people from saying what they believe and make you think twice about a joke or whatever, these things. And, a lot of their points are valid, but a lot of them are also just repulsive. And I mean, they repel people from, they go like, oh, you're no fun. I don't want to be around you.
Tyrus has done it again. He's turned words into pure power. The man who once tossed rivals across the ring now throws verbal punches that hit just as hard. It's like WrestleMania reborn, but this time the weapons are microphones instead of muscles. Every line lands like a knockout blow, and his latest target isn't a flashy showboat in spandex. It's something far more fragile. Tyrus swapped the ropes for a spotlight, yet he still shakes the ground beneath him. His transformation from fighter to truth-teller feels unstoppable, like a storm tearing through late-night TV.
Are they going to be with Rosie O'Donnell in a four-way Zoom podcast about Trump ruining their life still?
I'm glad you didn't stop at four-way. Although in my head I can see
it. Oh, come on, man. My mouth was open. Oh.
And who dares to face him this time? None other than Jimmy Kimmel, Hollywood's self-proclaimed prince of late night. The man who hides behind cue cards like shields and mistakes self-righteous speeches for punchlines. Kimmel, the jester of the industry who made a living mocking others, is now trapped in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. He's used to throwing the jokes, not being the punchline. But now, the tables have turned, and every camera is locked on him. The contrast is striking. One man earned his grit in the chaos of the ring, the other in the comfort of applause. And that comfort? It's starting to crack.
Mamas, I have one ex-wife. That's it. Okay.
Yeah, you.
I had some scruples. Okay. I'll have one night stands, but I will not marry people I don't love. Okay. There's a certain line there.
You can't teach this cracker that.
I really think if they're going to continue to do a podcast, they need to bring their writers in.
Ooh.
Because that was brutal.
Terrible. They're out of touch.
It's like listening to two billionaires complaining about no one had change for their $100 bill at McDonald's.
And somehow, this feud feels wildly uneven. On one side stands Tyrus, a powerhouse built from grit and experience, the kind of calm confidence that comes only from surviving real chaos, from locker rooms to live studios. He's faced storms most people couldn't handle and walked out unshaken. And on the other side, Jimmy Kimmel, the man who once teared up on live TV and mistook it for journalism. It's a total mismatch, raw strength versus polished ego. You can sense the imbalance, like a heavyweight stepping into the ring against a late-night monologue. Tyrus embodies toughness, truth, and reality, the kind that can't be staged under bright studio lights. Meanwhile, Kimmel hides behind applause cues, makeup, and moral speeches that sound deep until you actually listen.
They're like three ex-lovers.
Yes.
Who just found out about each other.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all getting together to talk about the man they all still love.
Right.
And they're just sizing each other up, trying to figure out which one of us has the best shot to get back with him.
Yes.
They all get together, they compare notes, and they tell each other, yeah, you should never mention his name again. You should never mention his name again. You should never. Does he call you? Doesn't call me? He texted me last week. Oh, so I'm still in the game. That's all this was. And that's why nobody cared.
The internet smelled the drama from miles away. This wasn't going to be a polite spat. It was an all-out war. Fans swarmed like sharks long before the first punchline even landed. This wasn't just two entertainers disagreeing. It was a heavyweight showdown where the gloves were off and the crowd craved chaos. Memes exploded across timelines, hashtags lit up like fireworks, and the online world split into teams overnight. It felt less like a feud and more like an event, a celebrity roast without the humor, a cage match without the ropes. The tension had rhythm, the madness had a beat. Every post, every tweet poured gasoline on the fire. People didn't just watch, they joined in. They wanted Kimmel to squirm and Tyrus to roar. This had moved far beyond comedy. It was a digital spectacle, and the internet had front-row seats to the mayhem. The lines were drawn, and the crowd couldn't look away.
So annoyed. All I had was a crisp 100. They had no change. I was like, what is this world coming to? That's why I'm moving to Italy, girl. I know, me too.
Greg.
Like, it's just...
Can I say something, Greg?
Crossing guard goes, go ahead.
How did you feel watching Kimmel cry?
One of his tears fell out. Hold on. You know, it's funny how this derangement's working, because it only seems to work if you have a camera in front of you.
Then Kimmel made his grand entrance, dripping with Hollywood confidence and armed with a teleprompter stacked with one-liners his writers probably scraped from the internet. He was ready to laugh at everything except himself. The routine was familiar. That smug grin, that I'm above this charm, and a crowd clapping on cue like a well-rehearsed orchestra. But just as he settled into his comfort zone, in walked Tyrus. No script, no filters, no safety net. He didn't need studio lights or cue cards. He brought truth, grit, and a verbal steel chair ready to crack Hollywood's glossy shell wide open. And when it hit, you could almost hear the echo. Egos breaking from Los Angeles all the way to Twitter. Tyrus didn't just call Kimmel out. He dismantled the illusion. The relatable everyman image vanished, revealing a performer who hasn't touched reality since gas was cheaper than coffee. Kimmel's brand of mocking for morality collapsed under the sheer weight of Tyrus's authenticity. This wasn't rebellion, it was revelation, and Tyrus made sure everyone saw it.
Here's about the ex-wife's club.
Yeah.
You know, they just sit around, be funny, or they're setting up for when they're all canceled, their tour, their three-man show.
Yes.
Come watch us say how much we hate the president. The funniest thing about this whole thing is they act like he got into the White House, and right as he got in, he's like, your list that you wrote for him, for people to go get. It's like, ICE, here they are, go round them up. No one gives a frog's fat ass what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because if they did, they would have stopped that podcast immediately.
Right. Yes.
That's right. 100%.
Tyrus cut straight through the glittering Hollywood smoke and called it for what it was. He wasn't chasing attention, he was demanding truth. Someone finally said what so many have been thinking. Kimmel's idea of punching up is really just mocking everyday people from behind studio lights. Picture it. Kimmel, sipping overpriced wine on a set bankrolled by sponsors who still think TikTok is groundbreaking, pretending to be the voice of the people. Tyrus's words hit deep because they came from experience, from a man who clawed his way up through grit, silence, and sheer persistence before earning a platform. He didn't get fame or virtue handed to him. He fought for both. Suddenly, Kimmel's Man of the People act looked like paper decor, flimsy, fragile, and fading fast. The illusion shattered the moment someone real pushed back. It's almost poetic. The same guy who once pulled pranks on strangers can't handle a little pushback from a cable commentator. The irony couldn't be louder, and this time, the joke's on him.
I expected to walk into work, stepping over,
Me too.
crying, to your credit, libtards.
Yes.
Like, oh, excuse me, oh, tear.
Yes.
There we go. But it wasn't. Everybody went back to their lives.
Yeah.
So apparently the only way this heartbreak works is if you film it or force someone else to film it.
Right.
But to your point about Carson, we never knew his political affiliation because he was there to make everyone laugh. All the late night shows were.
And then the fans went absolutely wild. Social media turned into a digital coliseum. One side roaring Tyrus's name like he just body-slammed Hollywood itself. The other scrambling to defend Kimmel by digging up old clips from when he was supposedly funny. Spoiler, there weren't many to find. But this went far beyond two celebrities trading shots. It was a cultural tremor. The echo chamber of Hollywood pride had just been punctured by someone who didn't play by its polished rules. Tyrus practically grabbed Late Night by the collar and growled, "Try laughing at yourself for once." And for Kimmel, that's like asking a cat to swim. The cheers weren't fueled by hate. They were powered by revelation. Tyrus didn't just roast a comedian, he exposed a pattern. The man who once mocked the powerful had become one of them, standing on a stage built from jokes about people he no longer understood. And that moral compass? It seems to spin in whatever direction the next sponsor's check is coming from.
One clown went all in on ignoring reality and blames MAGA.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
So MAGA is desperately trying to portray Kirk's killer as not one of them. If that man was any more full of shit, he'd be a colostomy bag. That was 2 days ago, so Kimmel had the chance to walk it back, but he can't. And why?
At this point, even Hollywood had to admit, Tyrus might have been right all along. It was like watching the class clown realize the punchline just turned on him. For years, Kimmel thrived inside his polished bubble, soaking in applause that's more manufactured than his spray tan. But when Tyrus called him out, there wasn't an applause sign big enough to drown out the truth. Fans started comparing Kimmel's scripted comfort zone to Tyrus's raw, off-the-cuff fire. And the contrast was brutal. Some even joked, "Hey Jimmy, maybe try smiling more and mocking less." The internet caught a whiff of weakness, and that was all it needed. Memes rained down harder than any punchline Kimmel's delivered in years. Tyrus didn't just win the moment, he hijacked the whole narrative. Suddenly, Kimmel's defenders were spinning faster than PR interns on espresso, labeling Tyrus as bitter. Bitter? Hardly. Pointing out that the Emperor's out of jokes isn't bitterness, it's clarity. Kimmel's been recycling punchlines like it's a charity drive, and the audience is finally tired of pretending they're new.
Them should be fired because it was such a big murderous election on one side that it should have been a reset. Because when it happened in 20, when he lost and Biden got in, I don't remember us doing an episode on coping skills. There was no line in the audience where I was like, "Thank you for coming. Thank you. We just like, well, let's keep going." And I believe we made fun of the situation and ourselves. So I always tell people, try to be the bigger man, which is ironic. But in this case, because the poor sportsmanship is coming from TV, normally I would say you can have one lap and smell your flowers, but go ahead and take 4.
The most ironic part? This feud ripped the mask off that thin, fragile line between comedy and activism. Kimmel's been dancing on that edge for years, pretending his punchlines change the world, when really, they just change his ratings. Then Tyrus walked in and said what everyone was thinking, "You're not a hero, you're just performing for applause." And just like that, the internet turned it into a war for the soul of comedy. Suddenly, it wasn't Tyrus versus Kimmel anymore. It was real humor versus moral lectures disguised as jokes. On one side, the Hollywood elite, clutching their virtue like golden statues. On the other, everyday people who just want to laugh without being lectured. Tyrus became the voice of that crowd, bold, raw, and unfiltered. His message hit like a drumbeat. Comedy should strike nerves, not soften truths. And the audience agreed. The numbers said it all. People are tired of polished outrage and empty virtue signaling. They want honesty, even when it stings. And that's exactly what rattles Hollywood. Someone who refuses to play by its rules. Tyrus doesn't chase approval or polish his image for applause, and that's precisely why he wins without trying. Kimmel, on the other hand, lives for validation. Every grin, every scripted zinger built to keep him liked. But Tyrus? He thrives on truth, not popularity. Instead of learning from the hit, Kimmel doubled down on the smugness, tossing gasoline on a fire and calling it composure. He tried to play it cool with forced smiles and shaky confidence, but everyone saw through the act. The truth lands harder when it's wrapped in a punchline sharper than your ratings chart. Even neutral viewers began to notice. Every Kimmel comeback felt more rehearsed, more desperate. Meanwhile, Tyrus reminded the world what comedy once was. Bold, untamed, fearless. It wasn't built for comfort. It was meant to make people think. Watching Tyrus dismantle Kimmel's moral pedestal felt like cutting the power in a room full of artificial light. Suddenly, the laughter felt real again. And Kimmel's act? Dimmer than ever.